What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is a very sensitive day, and if you didn't catch the last video, I was giving the new winner of the 400Z Orlando a ride in the R34 because he's a big fan of the car. And I was like, sure, let's go for a ride. I'll show you how it is. And I money shifted. I was shifting from 2 to 3, and I went from 2 to 1. I've never misshifted this car before. Sometimes it happens. So up front, I misshifted. The car immediately threw a check engine light, started running pretty bad, turned the car off, reset it, drove back into the shop. The car was able to get here, but it definitely felt like it was in some major limp mode. Like I said, we had a check engine light. Yesterday, we started diagnosing the car, and essentially what we did was we checked the spark plugs. Spark plugs were okay. We did compression. Compression was okay. We have a few ideas as to what could possibly be causing this car to be running like complete garbage right now. It's very sad. I love this car, but it happens. So we're determined to try to hopefully find an easy fix today. Hopefully we don't discover anything bad. Instead of being ashamed of the mistake and hiding it, I was like, you know what? Let's let the cameras roll. Everything happens. No one's perfect. And we're going to dive into it and try and figure out what's wrong.
Yesterday, we pulled the spark plugs out, checked, make sure that they all had the same gap. Pretty similar. Checked the ignition system connectors, the injection connectors. They were all okay as well. We went into the ECU, got linked up with Jack from HP Logic. He helped me out with a little bit of stuff, cleared the code. Hasn't come back, so that's a good thing, but it didn't clear the misfire. So we're gonna check mechanical timing.
What did we do last night?
Compression tested, and they're reasonably in the right range.
That's where we are now.
Nothing's screaming at us that this is the problem, so
Correct.
we're going a little bit deeper.
We gotta hunt a little bit. So,
Dude, that was such a good job.
I said we gotta hunt a little bit. Like, what we're trying to do is inspect the visual of mechanical timing, which is difficult because there's absolutely no room in here. Trying to get something on the crank to manually crank it over is relatively difficult. So what we're doing is just kind of trying to bump the starter, which is proving to be pretty inaccurate.
Very inaccurate.
Ian's over here using mirrors and angles. What
are
the
you, from
heck?
the 1800s?
Yeah, what are you,
Well,
wait,
if we reflect the sun.
what are you thinking, Ian?
This one looks on time for sure.
If they're on
If
time.
the cams are out of time with the crank, it could absolutely explain misfire and poor running. Since these are in time, according to all their marks, we gotta go deeper.
The next thing we're gonna do, it's real easy. The plugs are super cheap. So we were just gonna pull the coil packs, put new plugs in it, see if that for some reason remedied the problem. But Ian pulled the plugs yesterday, so they looked great. But again, it's a cheap, easy, quick inspection. So we're gonna do it. We effectively redid everything that we just undid, and now we're testing with the new spark plugs.
Off the bat, that's how the idle sound.
I feel like we're almost in the clear, but I agree with letting it warm up, giving it some revs, seeing how it goes from there.
Breaking up. It sounded better with the spark plugs, at least at idle. Once we rev it up, we're still breaking up. Ain't gonna be that easy, folks.
So now we have to pull the valve covers.
Yeah.
And check the shims. So there's two routes now, and that's Ian going through and either checking the tune and just giving it one more once over and logging it, but we're all pretty in agreement that that isn't it. So now the other route is to check mechanical, which would be pull the valve covers and inspect the shims and anything on the top end. In an attempt to save ourselves some work, we're just gonna start with the exhaust side because it's a lot easier to remove than this oiled adjustable intake side. So got all our charge pipes off. We're gonna take the valve cover off, inspect what we can, go from there.
Oh Lord, oh Lord.
If one of the shims is wedged, the tolerance between the cam and the bucket will be too tight for us to slip the shim, or the gauge, the feeler gauge between it. So that's what we're doing right now. For instance, I can see it on the bottom side. It's going through. Next, not as good. Try that again.
Okay.
There it is, we're good. How about this one right here? This will be a good view for us too. Yeah, see right, wait, hold on. Right there, do it again. Awesome.
Haven't found any solutions yet. Called Tommy, scratching our head. We're gonna move on to a leak down test, which arguably probably should have just started with that. Earlier in this video, when we said we did compression, I don't know if we talked about it, but we were pretty much like 103 to 107, 105 on every single cylinder, which I guess for RBs is technically low. They should like be closer to like 140. The HKS pistons in general read low. Well, I'm getting a phone call from Tommy F. Yeah. Oh. Hello?
How did the compression test get done?
You're mean. You're a rude person.
I put the compression tester into cylinder 1 and cranked it.
What'd you remove from the car before you did that?
The ignition coil and spark plug from cylinder 1.
Okay, so you took out none of the other ones.
Correct.
so your compression test is trash. Take all of them out, do a compression test, and tell me the numbers. Spark plug out, every coil pack off, throttle wide open.
All right, we'll do that. Goodbye. The boys haven't found anything yet, so I called Tommy because he knows these engines really well. He's claiming we should do another compression test, but this time do a little bit differently. When we did it yesterday, we did a compression test by just pulling one spark of one coil and leaving the rest of the 5 in and taking compression. We did that on every cylinder, and we got even numbers across the board. Those numbers were about 105 to 107 from cylinder 1 to 6. Now, some RB owners out there might say, hey, that sounds a little bit low. RB should be close to like 140, 150. Yes, that is true, but HKS pistons and rods, which is what we're using, have a tendency to be super low reading, especially on the RB setup. So we know the HKS pistons are gonna read a little lower, but we don't know what that deviant really is. So we're gonna do this all over again. And Tommy's now saying do it, but take out all the plugs and all the coils and do the compression test again.
And open the throttle blades.
We don't think that that's gonna make a difference. Tommy claims that it should. We're gonna run it back. So for those that are watching, we're looking for consistent numbers from 1 to 6. I would say to expect these numbers to be the 105, 107, and if we get one of them that's drastically low, that's not good. So let's run the test.
We've got the motor at TDC for cylinder 1. Valves.
That's the noise we don't want to hear.
Yeah, the valves should be totally closed. If there's any air leaking out, normally you hear air out the crankcase, that's okay. But past the intake or exhaust valves, you've got a problem.
The gauge is smoked. The gauge is like, whoop!
That should be there when it's over here.
The gauge is broken.
Not over here. Our gauge is too sensitive. It's...
Harbor Freight has never failed me before.
I know. I'd buy
best.
Harbor Freight tools too, but why do you fail me right now? You can hear it coming out around the cam, and that's normal because that's a crankcase. So I think this cylinder is probably okay even without looking at the gauge.
What the f was that? Is that the line or was that...
Ready?
Yeah. You get what this means? It's a bad head gasket. If you put it in one hole and it comes out the other, right? If we're on the right,
And it's not, because you'd hear it in every other hole if it were crank or piston rings.
if it was going out,
How would that be a head gasket though?
broke between the two.
This is between the block and the head gasket dispersed. Because if it were anything else, you would hear it in every other hole.
We've got valve clearance on intakes for cylinder 5, valve clearance on exhaust for cylinder 5,
Confirming
and
that
then
it's sealed.
when we add air to cylinder 5, it comes out cylinder 4. So I think the head gasket's breached between the two. If
Or
it were
anything,
piston
or
ring,
wristband
it
or whatever Tommy's saying.
still wouldn't come out this hole.
It'd be every
Yeah,
other crankcase vent.
yeah, it would come out the crank.
So do this again, but go into cylinder 6,
No, go go.
or go 6, or go anything that does.
Anything
Don't go
that-
anything that doesn't breach to 4.
One,
You can
three.
go to any other, and you shouldn't be able to hear that noise. But if you go to anything that's on either
5,
side of
3,
4,
6.
so 3 and 5, well, even if could just be breached here.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very likely that it's only breached there.
That's the weirdest thing that ever happened. Why would that?
An overrev happened to
Why would an overrev cause so much pressure in the head that it splits a gasket? It would explain a shitty idle though.
Yeah, it absolutely would. That's very odd.
And I'm assuming it's like a stacked, like MLS.
No, it's an HKS. Well, it's an HKS
Yeah.
gasket.
That's what I mean, like,
It'll
Yeah.
probably be a stopper style.
or are they foam?
Good.
Yeah.
You on?
Yeah.
Yep. See, that's
Yeah.
the noise.
See,
That's the normal
difference.
noise.
You hear that, and then like no change in sound.
Yeah, I will go listen.
And
to
then
exhaust
you
real
listen
quick.
in here, right? Because all the intake piping.
Nothing.
Don't hear anything, so good intake valves.
Yep.
And
Nothing
then
from
Dylan
the
says
exhaust.
nothing from
Nothing
the
from the
exhaust. So
Except
There it is. It's loud. It's leaking really loud. Oh, air shows this weekend.
So it's head gasket, allegedly.
allegedly,
So now we take it apart and we'll see if it actually is a head gasket.
Well, now we take it apart and then see that it is a head gasket.
How fast can you take off the head? We've really had some time time to put some thought into what could potentially be wrong, and as well as we think it could be the head gasket, there is a slight fear that the head could actually be cracked as well, because if the head was cracked, we believe we'd be getting the same type of outcome that we're getting right now. So the head has to come off the car, and unfortunately, it's way easier to take the head off if the motor was out of the car. So we're taking the motor out of the car, we're gonna take the head off, check the head gasket, and check if the head has been cracked. So although we just got this engine in the car and got it running literally about a month ago, it's time to drop it.
One more click. Okay, hold.
Hold that in your hands.
Whoa!
Wait.
I'm with you. That's no that's my dragon.
That is a very large dragon, sir.
Call you a slayer. Unsheath your blade. Behold, it breathes fire.
It glows with a bright.
It's chlamydia.
Ooh, it's.
The tip glows with a bright red glow on the top.
It is enchanted.
It's enchanted. My is enchanted.
A +2 ring for you, sir.
It is now the moment of truth. We're about to pull the head off the RB28. We're hoping it's a head gasket. We're hoping it's not a cracked head or a cracked block.
It's looking like a cracked head, bud.
No, it's not. Ian, what?
Ian, can I explain?
What are the odds? What are the odds? What are you interested for?
Ian explained it to me.
I thought we thought it was a head.
He was telling me about all the things, but TLDR, basically these two head studs didn't crack, so the head lifted, meaning it stretched.
Oh, it stretched the studs?
Yeah. When I detorqued them, these
pop?
front, like 8 of them, got a nice satisfying pop to them. These backs didn't. They kind of just gave up the ghost. So
Which means they gave up a long time ago.
yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully it didn't crack the head, but
Stretchy
I'll
bone.
take
definitely at least
I'll take a cracked head over a cracked block. If we crack this block, it's a 24U, and it's about $9 grand to get another just block, and that's not even talking about putting it back together.
I don't think it is.
A head.
It's steel and
I know.
stuff.
All right, let's find out.
Anyways.
I got it. Let it go.
Oh!
I hate it. There's nothing I can do. Just let it happen. I got it.
Okay.
Oh, 4 and 5 right here.
Oh, look at
Wow.
that.
So-
Look at that. As you can see, the combustion moved across and cleaned our head gasket. Real nice.
It
All
doesn't
of
show
this
any
is
of this
nice.
wear between the two.
But it shows we're here.
That's just missing. But so you see how this kind of looks cooked, and then up here there's carbon. It looks cooked. It's got like
Yeah.
dark marks and blue marks, and then here it's a nice clean ring. Here it's a nice clean ring. Here it's a nice clean ring. So that's what you're looking for usually when you blow a head gasket, is that carbon tracing and the gasket in between that to have kind of a bow or a warp in it.
Do you check the head visually?
Yeah, we can start with checking the head visually, and
You
then
can dye it.
we can go further.
I'm looking for any variance in the machine surface. The only thing I can really look for, we should still dye it. You notice how there was carbon on that one, and you can see the black between the cylinders? It seems to be mostly on the head gasket and the block, not as much on the head.
If
so
we were to get it cracked, would it?
it would start at the surface. And honestly, wiping my grubby finger over this,
You don't feel anything.
well, I don't feel anything, neither do I catch anything, but most likely some of the grease or grime would catch in that crack.
And you'd see it.
Hopefully. That's like a really bad
So
crack, but we
from
still
the-
should dye it and inspect it. And then the dye,
dye inspect it.
yeah, and then it finds like the lowest point in the crevices and really, like what I'm trying to do with the grease in my thumb right now, it really does a good job of, because it's not very viscous, it's super thin, it's really bright. But yeah, so far so good. Again, could totally be proven wrong. You can see through the coolant jacket how it's coming into the combustion chamber. And then if you look at the head, there's rust on the valve. So effectively, not only did we breach between the two combustion chambers, but also from the coolant jacket into here. And that's why when we were compression testing, opened the effing radiator cap, we just get all Shamu drenched. Thanks, Quinn.
So conclusion for today's video and this whole debacle right now is head gasket. There's nothing else that's leading us to think it could be a crack in the head, a crack in the block. Weird one, we got lucky with that it was just a head gasket. So I'm sure there's gonna be a bunch of people in the comments down below giving their input. We love your input. Your input gives us that extra angle and that extra set of eyes that maybe we can't see. So if you have maybe done this before and had a similar issue, let us know. Now it's time to get head gasket overnight from Japan. Actually, we have a surprise guest coming here in 2 days. We have Mr. F Yeah himself. So he's gonna fly in with a head gasket. He's coming for something else, so stay tuned for that. As you know, we stay cooking up in the background. But while he comes out, I'm gonna have him deliver us a new head gasket. So hopefully by the end of this week, we're gonna have the head gasket back in the car and up, back and running. I'm hoping by Friday. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you boys in the next one. Peace out and keep moving forward. Wait!
Where you going? Where you going? You gotta go. Dude.
Saya, release my.
We need another rag for all
What are you
this
drinking?
stuff.
Hey, what are you drinking?
A grape nos. It's a grape nos. You can't prove it's anything else because you're not strong enough.
Just box me out right now.
Oh my god!
We got him.
Oh
Dude,
my
ladies and gentlemen,
god!
we got him.
I can't believe this.